Welcome to the WordPress Photography Podcast, the podcast for photographers who want to learn how to get the most out of WordPress to grow their photography business. You don't need to be a geek to understand WordPress. Settle back and listen as we show you how. Now, here's your host, Scott Wyden-Kivowitz.
Welcome to episode 109. My name is Scott Wyden-Kivowitz, and today I am interrupting the short break that we had, and I wanted to share with you what is new in WordPress 5.5. Now, I don't usually do episodes that talk about WordPress version updates. Sometimes we talk about what's new in the updates in an episode as just a little bit of news. But I feel like now is a good time for me to start doing this and doing dedicated what's new episodes when there's an update that really warrants talking about as much as it does. So this is one of those episodes where you might want to watch at the same time as listen. So if you are listening to this only, I recommend going to imagely.com/podcast/109 and watching the video of me going through what is new here. And if you're just listening while driving or whatever, then, you could always do that later on and sort of come back to this. Now, there are some improvements to the block editor. You'll see there's some UI changes, some user interface changes. It has gotten more of this black and white matte style look to it to make it. I don't know what their goal was, but basically now if you go to add a block inline, you're going to see this black and white sort of very, very high contrast look, which could be an accessibility thing. They just want to make sure that people that are colorblind or don't see well, that they can see it. So it's super high contrast, literally black and white. And when you go to add a block inline, you'll see that it's showing you your most recent blocks that you've added. And you can always hit Browse All, and it'll pop up the full block inserter on the left. And if you hover over, you'll see previews of what each block does. Now, these previews are only for core blocks, and if third-party companies start making blocks, which of course they are, they have to build their own previews. It's not like it's just automatically going to make a preview. The developers have to code their own previews as well. And of course, you can search for the blocks and things just like you could before. And so that's really what's new as far as the block inserter goes. It's sort of the inline one is showing you only your most recent, and you can also search, but you can hit Browse All to pop open the whole thing. The only bit of color you will see in the block inserter are the embeds. The block inserter is showing YouTube and YouTube's red, Facebook and Facebook's blue, Twitter and Twitter's blue, Spotify and their green, and so on, just to keep up with their branding as per required by those brands. Now, there's now something called the block directory. Any plugin on the WordPress directory that is a single block plugin can get inserted into what's called the block directory. So what you can do, let's say you are inserting a block and you need a map and you don't have a map plugin right now. You want to add a map block. You can literally just search for map, and it's not going to show up because you don't have it already installed. But you can go on and right from here, it's going to show you the blocks that are available and all their WordPress plugin directory details. So 3,000 active installs for Gutenberg map block for Google Maps. It was updated 5 days ago. You can actually add that block, which means it's going to install that on your site. And now the block is available and you can click it and add that block. And then you can go on and do all of your changes as you need to and stuff. Now, that's really cool because that means that single block plugins, not ones like, for example, cadence blocks, right? It's the page builder plugin that we use a lot at Imagely and recommend for the block editor to enhance and expand its capabilities. Cadence block has a lot of blocks built in, so that cannot be added to the block plugin, the block directory. Only single blocks can. Here's another example. Let's say you want animation. You can search for animated block. You just search for animated, and then you can actually see there's an animated block with 600 active installs. So that is a really cool feature. The block directory is a lot of fun. It's going to be cool to see more and more get added to that. Tiny plugins that do a lot for the block editor. There's also now inline image editing from the image block. Sure, you can go to the styles and make it rounded, or you can go back to the regular, and you can do things like that. But there's also a crop tool now. So I can go in and I can actually crop the image how I want right from here. So I can zoom in, I can drag, and it's not changing the dimensions for this. It's literally just zooming in, and then I can go in and I can actually say, I want to make this square or 16:9 ratio. Let's check that out. And we hit apply. Now the image is actually cropped right here. And then we can go in and we can say, again, round or not. There's a lot of cool things we can do with cropping and whatnot right from here. And of course, you can rotate as well if you want to rotate your images, which sometimes might be a little funky. There is also now lazy loading built in. Now, you're not going to be able to tell typically that it's happening, but lazy loading is something that we have in NextGen Plus and NextGen Pro as well. And lazy loading is actually where you've got a whole bunch of images, and as you scroll, they start loading, right? Which means you're going to actually see your site load faster. Now, lazy loading that's built into WordPress core, into WordPress 5.5, is actually only available in Google Chrome right now. There's actually a loading script that is added to images inside of WordPress 5.5 that is only recognized currently by Google Chrome. You can see here that it says loading equals, and in quotes, it says lazy. That is recognized by Google Chrome, and Google Chrome will automatically lazy load that. Hopefully, eventually, other browsers like Firefox and Safari and Opera and Brave and all of those browsers will start recognizing that and utilizing it because it's in the best interest of the browser users to get the fastest experience. Of course, there are other plugins, free and paid, that can add lazy loading to your images and to other aspects like YouTube videos and other iframes like maps. But it's cool that WordPress is now including lazy loading inside of your core WordPress images. And so any images from your media library automatically are getting lazy loading. And again, it's only in Google Chrome right now, but hopefully other browsers start supporting it. There is another feature that is worth looking at, and it's called the content preview. Now, the WordPress block editor currently does not have a way to edit a block specifically for desktop versus tablet versus mobile device. Currently, it does not have a way to edit those settings. For example, if you change the padding on an image, you can't change that padding on desktop versus tablet versus mobile device. But what you can do right now, and by the way, this is something that Cadence blocks can do, which is one of the reasons why we're recommending Cadence blocks as the block editor to choose, because you can actually do that. But if you want to preview how your page or post looks on a mobile device or a tablet or a desktop, you can go to preview, switch it from desktop to tablet, and look what happens. You get a smaller screen that is what your post will look like on tablet. Switch it to mobile, and now you got that as well, right? So you can see the titles look cut off. I don't know, that's a little bug. Of course, I find a bug as I'm recording this episode, but you can actually go and add blocks right from here as well. So you can add that map, you can add a paragraph of text, and you can do all this right in that preview, and you can preview in a new tab as well and load it full size, of course, if you want. So you'll get a good idea of how that's going to look in the back end in the editor. There's one more thing I want to show you inside of the block inserter, and that is this new thing called patterns. Now, I've been beta testing this for a while, and there's not a lot of patterns in this, but it's really cool to see. Basically, patterns are pre-made blocks, like groups of blocks that do certain things. So for example, here is a quote. And if we were to dig into this quote, we can actually pull up, let's actually remove all the previous stuff so we get a clear picture of what this block is doing. Okay, so this block we just added is a group. Inside the group is an image, a quote, and a separator. Image, quote, separator. And to add this, and of course I can go in and I can change the image, I can change the quote, I can adjust the separator. But to add that, all I had to do was go to the block inserter, go to patterns, scroll down to it, and click it. I could add this one. I can go back to patterns and I can add this one. And I can literally design an entire page just of block patterns. And what's really nice is there's an API in beta right now to be able to tie into that, which means themes and plugins will add their own patterns to that. And eventually you'll be able to search for patterns as well. Maybe they'll be categorized. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming to this, but in the meantime, you just have a bunch of pre-made block patterns that you can go in and you can modify to your desire, however you want. And of course, we can preview this on the front end and see that all of these patterns are showing up on the front end and they look nice. Of course, they can use some replacing of the content and stuff like that. But it's a first step towards easy content design right built into WordPress core. The next thing I want to show you is actually inside of the plugins and themes area. So if we were to go in and we add a plugin, let's add Next Gen Gallery. And we go back to the plugins area, you'll notice all the way on the right is something called automatic updates. We can turn this on. And now it's giving you control over what themes and plugins get automatic updates. Meaning, so the day I'm recording this, we're about to push out a new update to Next Gen Gallery in about 3 hours from now. And I can go in and turn on auto updates. And you can see here, there's even a filter to see what plugins are getting auto updated. And then when that release is available, my WordPress instance is actually going to automatically update that for me. So I don't have to do that. This is good for a variety of reasons, but this is a feature that a lot of people have asked for, is a UI control over it, and now you have it. And that's a great thing. You can disable or turn it on per plugin. This also works for themes, okay? This works for themes that you have installed. This will only work for free themes in the WordPress theme directory or themes that use the API that is connected to the updater that the WordPress theme directory uses. So at the moment, the Photocrati theme does not do this. So if I was to load this up, you'd see nothing about auto updates. But if you go to, let's say 2020 and activate that theme, and you go to theme details, you'll see enable auto updates, just like you did in the plugin directory. And that's a really cool feature. And that's something that we are going to explore for Photocrati as well in the future, and for the Imagely theme in the future. But there is something else that's really nice that I want to show you. If you go to add new, and you go to upload theme, and we pick a theme. Here's a new version of the Photocrati theme. We hit install now. Watch what happens. Now, instead of saying, sorry, you can't install this because there's already the theme exists, you can replace with the current uploaded. This is going to make updating themes manually much, much simpler, because now you don't have to worry about doing it through FTP. You can just do it right inside of WordPress. The last thing I want to talk about are sitemaps. Now, sitemaps are these files. It's an XML file that actually is sent to Google, to Bing, and to all the search engines to tell you, the search engines, what to index on your site. And these are very essential for getting ranked and getting ranked fast, and to have new posts and new pages and new content automatically sent to search engines. And for a long time, for a while, about a year, I would say, there was a plugin called Core Sitemaps, and it was a feature plugin, meaning it's a feature that's going to eventually get into WordPress core, and the plugin will eventually go away. And now it's in WordPress 5.5. So now WordPress 5.5 has a sitemap feature. But here's the thing. This sitemap feature does not have any user interface that you can control, meaning you can't no index or index specific posts or pages. Every piece of content that you post is going to be indexed, whether you want it or not. And that's not good. It's not good that you don't have control over it. It's great that they're adding sitemap features to WordPress core, but it's not quite where it needs to be. And that is why Yoast SEO and the Yoast team have actually added a feature inside of Yoast SEO to completely disable the sitemap feature in WordPress 5.5. It's automatically turning it off in favor of using Yoast's advanced and really well-tested and proven sitemap feature. In fact, Next-Gen Gallery integrates with the Yoast SEO sitemap, and it doesn't yet integrate with the WordPress 5.5 core sitemap. Eventually, we hope to, but it's not quite where it needs to be yet. So it's great that WordPress 5.5 has it, but if you want control over what is indexed on your site, just install Yoast SEO and let it disable that, and you can get complete control over everything. And of course, I will update you as this feature gets better and better. I will update you so you know if you can start using that instead of Yoast. But until then, just use Yoast because it's much better for that kind of thing. So this has been an overview of WordPress 5.5. It's basically been dedicated to speed, to search, and to security. That's what this update has been all about. And that's why I was excited to show you all these new features. There's a bunch of little things behind the scenes that you're not going to care much about, like the dash icons that were updated. But for the most part, there's a lot of stuff that is really nice to see. So if you have any questions about WordPress 5.5 or anything else, just give us a comment. imagely.com/podcast/109. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.
You've been listening to the WordPress Photography Podcast. To listen to other episodes and to subscribe to the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and more, please visit imagely.com/podcast.